Jesse. And if you missed it on First Take, we're going to tell you the quarterback Stephen A. Smith has the most faith in when the NFL playoffs kick off this week. SportsCenter's next.
He's great. It is that simple.
Hunting season's almost over. We only got one more chance to hunt, and we hunted tonight.
Counting down to the Super Wild Card weekend, we're hearing our first comments from the Cowboys ahead of their Monday night matchup against the Buccaneers. Do this again. We'll be sitting home next week. Cowboys guard Zach Martin's assessment of how Dallas played in their season-ending 26-6 loss to Washington. The defense couldn't stop the Commanders. Dak Prescott threw another pick six. Dallas losing despite playing to win with its starters. They travel to Tampa for this weekend's wildcard matchup. Jerry Jones now on Facing the Bucs and his head coach. It is new on SportsCenter.
When you really think about it, we're not playing Brady. Brady is, you say, well, in this game, quarterback, the fact that he's quarterback teams that you haven't beaten, with him quarterbacking, we're playing Tampa Bay, the team. It's inconceivable that we could make Brady not play well and get their tails beat by the rest of the team. And I'm not trying to be cute, but we've got to go play the entire team. And this Brady thing has got to be sensitive. I know it's there, and I respect that. Gives us a challenge to do something we haven't done before, and that's beat Tom Brady.
Could anything happen in this playoff game Monday that could put Mike McCarthy's job status in question for next year? No.
I don't even want to. No. That's it. I don't need to go into all the pluses or minuses, but we're not seeing any. We're not basing. I've got a lot more to evaluate Mike McCarthy on than this playoff game.
Our NFL analysts, Mina Kimes and Marcus Spears, joining us now. Okay, Marcus, what is your reaction to what Jerry Jones had to say about Mike McCarthy's future? He said no.
I know we got to get to Mina, Jay, but I'm so sick of it. I'm like literally, man. And it's because Jerry Jones puts this pressure. Let's think about this for a second. The one gripe that I can agree with people on is the penalties that the Dallas Cowboys had. That's head coaching, and we all lamented about that last year. Mike McCarthy in the last 2 years has won 24 regular season games.
Right.
He's going to the playoffs for the second time in his third year. Let me let the world know this too. You know what happened the first year?
What?
Dak Prescott almost ripped his ankle off of his leg, and they went 6-10. With Dak Prescott, he's won 12 regular season games. He's about to go try to win a playoff game, getting into the playoffs 2 times out of the 3 years that he's been there. Matt LaFleur has been called the genius. He's been in the conversation for Coach of the Year with a Hall of Fame quarterback and one of the best receivers we've ever come through the league. And you look at these win-loss records. One of those years, Mike McCarthy lost his starting quarterback. Now, Matt LaFleur has had Aaron Rodgers healthy every single year he's been the head coach.
Right.
I wonder what that record would look like if Aaron Rodgers missed an entire year of football in Green Bay. Jerry has to understand that we get it. It's the Cowboys. And we put this undue pressure. And we bring up this man's job every single year when we get to this point. Because for Dallas, and fairly so, it's about the playoffs. But Mike McCarthy has been in Dallas 3 years. He's about to go to the playoffs his second time in 3 years of being there. He's won 24 regular season games with a non-Hall of Fame quarterback and a receiver that we have never considered one of the best receivers in the NFL. And those roster moves were made by Jerry Jones. If you were to take the Dallas Cowboys wide receiving core right now, where would you rank them in the NFL? And we sitting here every year talking about this man's job. It's starting to... I want Jerry to understand the type of pressure that he puts on a coach. And obviously that exists in Dallas. But Mike McCarthy is being unfairly talked about his job here again for the second year in a row. And by the way, let me add this, Jay.
All right, Marcus.
The starting quarterback missed 4 games this year.
That is true.
And he's won 12 games. But we're going to keep bringing this job up every single season. I'm fine with Mike McCarthy being the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. If you told me every year that the coach is going to get you 12 games and into the playoffs with a chance to get in the tournament, every team in the NFL would take that. I'm sorry, MK. Go ahead.
No, I agree. Listen, I'll say this, Marcus. I do think it was reasonable to criticize Mike McCarthy last year
Yes.
for some of the game management decisions, the penalties. But the job he has done this year, especially with Dak Prescott being out as long as he was, getting them to this point, to me, it does clear him from being on the hot seat. Doesn't mean he's immune from criticism if they finish in the playoffs the way we just saw them play in Week 18. But I don't think Jerry Jones will be replacing Mike McCarthy anytime soon.
All right, let's get to the game. Mina, we're going to start with you this time.
Mina just calmed me down.
She did.
She always can calm me down.
Well, that's why we're going to let her start, because you need to calm just a little bit more. A little bit more. Mina, what's your biggest area of concern this time around for the Cowboys matchup going against these Buccaneers?
Yeah, it's obviously hard not to talk about Dak Prescott's interceptions over the, last 11 games, and that's the huge issue. But I'm going to go to the other side of the ball. I am very worried about Tampa's deep ball versus this Dallas secondary. A deep ball that was really hit or miss for much of the season, but seeing the way Tom Brady and Mike Evans closed the season with that incredible performance, to me, in Week 17, has to strike fear in the heart of Cowboys fans, because this is a secondary that is banged up. Cornerback group that outside of Trevon Diggs has a lot of weaknesses. Over the last 2 months of the season, they were the second worst team in the NFL versus deep passes. So if Brady can sustain what we saw throwing to Mike Evans and also getting the ball quickly as he does, that would be a worry for me for the Cowboys defense, which is entirely dependent on its pass rush getting home.
Hey, MK, I'm going to piggyback on your first point about Dak's turnovers, right? We know what the turnover battle means in the NFL. Brady is 20-1. In his playoff career when he wins the turnover battle in the playoffs. So we know that that's an obvious stat. Like, we've talked about Dak and these turnovers, which all haven't been his fault. But here recently, he's been throwing in the coverage. If you go back to Week 1 against Tampa, this interception right here that we're showing with Antoine Winfield gave him a position to get in the end zone. Micah Parsons made a big sack while they were in the red zone, and it was a field goal. But this Dallas defense played well enough Week 1 to win. Micah Parsons had 2 sacks. They finally took him off the second level and put him at the line of scrimmage. I would try to get him matched up on Donovan Smith as much as possible. We know the flaws of Tampa Bay. We know you got to get pressure on Tom Brady. But to Mina's point, that deep ball, and we've been talking about this for weeks on NFL Live, and she's brought it up. Opposite of Trevon Diggs, you have a real problem with the Dallas Cowboys defense. Now, we talking about that being Mike Evans, we talking about Chris Godwin, or some guys that can exploit that matchup. Just for 3 hours in a playoff game, there is no surety that this will be a successful outing for the Dallas Cowboys. And at this point, with Tom Brady, especially building that rapport with what we saw him do with Mike Evans in that last game against Carolina, that should be the scariest thing going into this ball game. But the turnovers are a huge issue, because Tom Brady history tells you that if you turn it over more than him, you're going to lose the game 95% of the time.
All right, let's stick with Brady. He and the Bucs, they won the NFC South. It was not pretty. Here he is on his Let's Go podcast from Monday night. Take a listen.
Playing, on Monday night's great, and it's as we know, it's a must-game win, which is a little strange after having a game that really didn't matter for the playoffs. Now we got one that's the only thing that matters, which is trying to figure out how to beat the Cowboys. And we beat them in Week 1. We're a very different team. They're a very different team. It's going to be a lot of great prep. This is what it's all about. Some people can really lock in. I think one thing I've noticed over the years, sometimes the moment does get a little too big for people. And there's the moment doesn't get too big. And I know we got some players on our team where the moment's not too big. You want to go out there to battle with guys that, you have the ultimate belief in. We've got
one guy who doesn't feel this moment is too big. That's Tom Brady. No moment too big for him. Look, Marcus, I'll start with you on this one. The Bucs 3-point underdogs, according to Caesars. What needs to happen if they're going to pull off this upset?
It means absolutely nothing. One, it all begins with protection. All right. Like, we know that if there's any type of way that the Dallas Cowboys defensively can get to this, one, you got to stop the run and then allow Micah Parsons and that defensive line to take advantage of an offensive line that still gives some things up. They did a better job against Carolina in some protection. We've cried all year about Tampa Bay running play action just to give Tom Brady a little bit more time, but also that run game. If they are going to take care of business, it'll be about protection. But Dallas, one advantage in this game, I believe, is at the line of scrimmage, and that is making sure that Micah Parsons is in that rush as much as possible. Like I said, Week 1, Jay, they had him off the ball, didn't work out well. They put him on the ball, it resulted in 2 sacks. So I would say, if you Dallas, And Dan Quinn, you going into this game figuring out how to get Micah Parsons in the rush every possible chance you get.
Yeah. Yeah, Marcus is absolutely right. Dallas's biggest advantage in this game is the line of scrimmage defensively. So for the Bucs, the biggest question they have to answer is how do you mitigate that pass rush? The answer is not running north-south on early downs, because all you'll be doing is setting up Tom Brady for 3rd and long. So to Marcus's point, I'd like to see play action. I'd like to see a run game that's more horizontal, that uses misdirection. And I'd like Brady to come out throwing. He does get the ball out so quickly, and that really helps the offensive line. I think he can do that and prey on some of Dallas's vulnerabilities on the back end that I spoke about earlier. Then on the other side of the ball, guys, Dallas's rushing attack has been very quiet the last half of the season, and that really is about the line of scrimmage too. Tampa with Vita Vea back is very good up front. I think if they can dominate in the trenches on that side of the ball, that would be key for them to pulling off the upset.
Mina, Marcus, hang tight. Let's go over to Sage.
Yeah, guys, 'cause there could potentially be